At least 20 centuries of pain, suffering, and death because of the lies spread until now.
The history of humanity is divided into two large sections, before and after Christ. Let's briefly analyze what has happened in the 20 centuries after the time of the historical Christ. First of all, we must be clear that, according to what is described in the Bible, what happened to the historical Christ was a murder perpetrated by the ruling and religious class that dominated Israel in those days. Their minds were filled with envy and the most inflammatory hatred, which led to such a crime. It says in 1 Corinthians 2:8, "But the rulers of this world didn't understand her. If they had, they would not have crucified our glorious Lady." Men such as Herod the Great, Herod Antipas, Caiaphas, Annas, Pilate, etc., all made a grave mistake by being instigators and complicit in that crime. By killing Christ, the one who brought life itself, in order to not have to obey her, a series of effects and consequences arose that they failed to grasp. That's why it says in Matthew 27, verses 22 through 26, "What then shall I do with Jesus, who is called the Messiah?" asked Pilate. "Crucify her," they shouted back. "Why?" Pilate persisted. "What crime has she committed?" But the mob roared even louder, "Crucify her!" Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere and that a riot was forming, so he took a basin of water and washed his hands in front of the crowd, saying, "I am innocent of this woman's blood. The blame is on you." And the people shouted back, "We will take the responsibility of the death upon ourselves and our children." So Pilate instead let Barabbas, the thief and murderer, go free. This story allows us to see why humanity has suffered so much throughout history, because evil and perverse men in positions of power have gone against the one who brings salvation, and instead of obeying her, they hate, despise, and persecute her, dragging with them all the ignorant who blindly believe their lies. The number of deaths recorded by history in 20 centuries in wars alone is very large. Statistics show that from the 1700s to the 20th century, some 100 million people have died in wars. Let's not forget that in this century alone, the world experienced 2 world wars. Also, in this century, humanity has witnessed conflicts, such as the Vietnam War, the wars in the Middle East, wars in Africa, and in Latin America. We cannot ignore the explosion of the atomic bomb in Hiroshima and so many other acts of war that have been catastrophic, because all they have produced is pain and death. Faced with this dark panorama revealed by the journey through 20 centuries of history, we ask ourselves, where are the benefits and gains from having crucified Christ in their minds? Evidently, there are none, since people continue to kill and die. And this is because we continue to have evil men in power who turn their own people against each other within the same country. They crucified Christ, the Heavenly Mother, in their own minds, and didn't want the heavenly order she brought, nor her salvation. That is why what the world has experienced is its own condemnation. To be continued.